Before I start this video, I'd like to say I'm definitely excited for Isabelle being in Super Smash Bros. As well as a new Animal Crossing game. But can we talk about that Luigi's Mansion trailer? Luigi's Mansion is a spin-off series loved by many people, from the first one on the GameCube to the second one on the 3DS to people being excited about the re-release or remake or whatever you want to call it coming to the 3DS as well. I'll say this now because I knew Nintendo wouldn't let such a successful console such as the Switch pass by without releasing a new Luigi's Mansion on there, and if you didn't hear about the new Luigi's Mansion, there's a new Luigi's Mansion coming to the Switch in 2019. While people want every single game in existence ported to the Switch because they don't really have anything else better to do, I'd personally rather see the re-release of the original on the 3DS rather than port it to the Switch, and I have a good reason for this. Luigi's Mansion has already been made on the 3DS, and using that same engine, they can easily create a re-release, which they already did, so that people who never got to experience the GameCube one can. Almost any remake or port Nintendo has made for the Switch is still full price, so paying $40 on a cheaper console will be a better idea than to recreate the graphics from scratch, enhance everything, and adding something new to make the port worth the money. But as usual, in any fan base, there's always the vilest specimen of them all. The toxic ones. Anywhere you go, Smash, Mario Kart, Pokemon, Minecraft, wait, why is that here? Get that out of here. There's always going to be that toxic portion that you can't get anything by and their satisfaction levels are, well, unsatisfiable. You give them one thing, then they want the other, so you give them both and then they suddenly don't want either, so you take away both of those things and now they want them back. I can keep giving examples about these people, but let's get back to why this was relevant to the video. So, Luigi's Mansion was released in 2001 for the GameCube and many loved it and I still love it and even did as my first Let's Play. Please don't go watch that, I sounded like an idiot. So, Nintendo released the second game 12 years later on the 3DS with new ghost story and remodeled characters. I found it really fun, but others, they didn't like it because of one reason, and you won't be surprised what the reason is. Now, before I tell you, some people actually have legit reasons for not liking it, and if you ever have a legit reason for not liking something, by all means, I'll be okay with your opinion, and I won't really argue over it with you because that's what you thought, and you have a reason for why you think that way. However, there are people that don't like things for no reason, and when asked for a reason, the only answer you get is, I didn't like it, or it was bad. Ready to hear why they didn't like it? It's because it was different from the first one. Yeah, that's the reason. It wasn't the same as the original. That was the main reason. Now I know some people didn't like the mission-based gameplay, and that's totally fine because that's a legitimate reason. Saying the game's different, therefore it's bad, is the stupidest reason I've ever heard, and I still hear this every day. However, if a game is different in a bad way, like some games, well, then we got a problem. Another example of this is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, a lot of people really love this game. For the people who didn't, though, this is for you. People say the game was bad, so what was bad about it? It's mainly that they didn't do dungeons and the story wasn't as interesting as it normally is. While for me, the dungeons weren't as big of a deal, the story was definitely kind of lacking. It has a good intro, but due to the open worldness, there's not as much interaction between the other characters and their meaning. The cutscenes were pretty minimal and the story wasn't too emphasizing. However, Breath of the Wild wasn't really for the story, but more for the new open world gameplay, which is honestly one of the best open world games I've ever played and my personal favorite of the open world games out there. If you came for the story though, and your enjoyment comes from the story aspect and gameplay equally, I can see why you didn't enjoy it as much. Now those are legit reasons, but the reason I hear the most is, this is not a real Zelda game. Take a game like Xenoblade Chronicles or Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which has cutscenes everywhere and voice acted at that. It's not the best voice acting.
I'll kill you!
Oh, okay, it's not good, but the story really gets you involved and immerses you to bond with the characters. Okay, I keep going off track here, but let's get back to the point. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is definitely underrated. The amount of toxic fans that want everything to stay the same are just insane. Nintendo is going to create a game that's still fun, but will most likely switch up how you play. I mean, look at the newest Luigi's Mansion trailer, or even earlier for those that didn't catch Sly Sakurai, showing this plunger mechanic being introduced as a new way to fight ghosts. It's what they do. Their consoles never stay the same because they're always trying new ways to create entertainment for people. It could sometimes be a flop, a massive success, or somewhere in between, but they never copy and paste the same thing over and over. Except New Super Mario Bros. Let's not talk about that. Scott already took care of it. If you think that's what Nintendo does, well, I'm sorry, but They'll never do that with any successor to a game. Something is always different when they make a successor. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has new mechanics, graphics, characters, UI, and more. While the main gameplay is the same, there are improvements and changes that change the game. Super Mario Odyssey has multiple open kingdoms for exploration and much smoother control compared to the level-based, somewhat linear Super Mario 3D World. Breath of the Wild is an open-world, beautifully designed landscape that lets the player choose their path and live it in real time. Now, you might be mad at Nintendo isn't replastering your favorite game and putting it on the Switch, but think of it like this. They never did that. They've always changed it up, only now people are making a big deal out of it. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's see why the Luigi's Mansion series is a pretty strong example of this. It took Nintendo 12 years, and by 12 years it took them 2 to 3 years of development and 12 years of waiting fans for a new Luigi's Mansion, and we got Dark Moon. While I like the different approach of the gameplay style, many were mad because after 12 years, we got a mission-based Luigi's Mansion that made people feel underwhelmed. So this led to people getting mad at Nintendo for making such a lackluster game. But wait, I got another example very similar to this. Remember Super Mario Bros. On the NES or NES or whatever you want to call it? And it got its successor, Super Mario Bros. 2, which was very different compared to the first one. Just because they did something different doesn't mean they're ditching the old one forever. Actually, you know what? It means exactly that. Screw using my brain and thinking of possibilities. Let's jump to conclusions before any facts are actually released. Yeah! But in all seriousness, Super Mario Bros. 2 was a different type of game, but it was still fun. Then Super Mario Bros. 3 came out and it's considered to be one of the best 2D Mario games ever made. All companies, let it be gaming, technology, even food companies try new things, and if it doesn't work, well, they can see that. Now, I'm mainly talking about this subject because I saw how many people were mad at the Nintendo Direct from September 13th not fulfilling their demands. Personally, I thought it was a really good Direct, but as usual, these people want more. And here's a metaphor of how these people act. More! But Nintendo will always try new things and keep being different, and if you don't like that your favorite game doesn't have an HD remaster Subspace Emissary Honda Odyssey attached with free DLC, then I'm sorry, you're in the wrong place. Speaking of the Direct, let's talk about the Switch Online. I'm kidding, I'm going to talk about that in a different video.